Live action. What's up, everybody? It is your buddy Adam from Podcasting Business School. This is the brand. This is the show where I teach you how to love your podcast like a hobby, but build it like a business. So we're going live today, a short video clip on some tips on how and why you should be using coaching sessions as podcast episodes, as podcast content. All right. So if you are checking this out, if you're a coach, if you want to be an online coach, especially, or if you're in the online coaching space, this is going to be super helpful for those of you in that category that fit that bill. So I've been doing online coaching for several years now. And I think that, honestly, I'm really surprised that more online coaches that have a podcast aren't using coaching sessions as podcast content or YouTube content, or putting it out on social platforms like Instagram Lives. I think there's a huge opportunity with this. And tonight, I'm going to go through the why we should be doing this and the how to pull this off effectively. If you have comments or questions, drop them in the comments below the video, and I would be glad to answer them. What's up, Janet? How's it going? Breakaway Business Coaching. Check out Janet on Instagram. Now, before we dive into this is one little segment that I discussed in my most recent episode of Podcasting Business School, episode 180. I've got audience engagement and podcast monetization tips, and I bring that to you with 2 coaching sessions. So that's a great example of what I'm talking about and teaching you here with this video. All right, let's talk about the why. Why should we use coaching sessions as podcast content or social media content? If you're a coach, I want you to show off your ability to coach. I want you to show off your ability to think on your feet, have a discussion, be in real time with a client, and show people what you've got. A lot of podcasters get stuck in interview mode and they just look for experts to interview. And I do that too. But if you get in that mode, all of a sudden your audience just sees you as the person that asks questions to these expert people. The other people are the experts. You're the question asker. And then you try to pitch your coaching service on one of the episodes, like they just don't see you as a coach. So the first part of the why is show off your coaching skills and do it in real time with an audience member or with one of your coaching clients. All right. So that's the first part of the why. The second part of the why, it's amazing content. You are pulling people up out of your audience or out of your coaching stable, the people that are paying you for coaching. And I'll get into that a little bit with the how and all this. But these are either people that are paying you as a coach already, or they are listeners of your show. They're followers of your YouTube channel. They follow you on Instagram. You're pulling them out of the audience into that seat, and you get to coach them live. This is great content because most likely they're probably a good representative of your ideal listener. And that's who we want to bring on the show, shine a spotlight, and show all those other ideal listeners that are listening in, hey, I can help you too. And maybe you come on for one of these types of sessions, or maybe you join my membership, or you buy my course, or you buy coaching package. But we're showing off that ability, and it's great content that resonates with our audience. The third part of the why, it really ramps up audience engagement. The people that you are coaching, well, if they represent your ideal listener avatar, they are going to ask the types of questions that your ideal audience members would want to ask. Like, they are a representative. Again, they're coming out of the audience ranks onto the show. They're going to ask the same questions. So there'll be people that are listening in going, I've always wanted to ask that question. I've always wondered about that. Like, so it's really going to ramp up audience engagement when you post that, or if you're going live like I am here, the comments are going to start going because they're hitting that, they're striking a chord with the audience because they represent the audience. So those are the 3 main parts of the why. We've got, it's going to show off your coaching skills. It's great content, and it increases audience engagement, which is always super important, right? Janet says she used this strategy and got a new client. It works. Boom. I tell people to do this all the time. I'm like, hey, just do this once a week, or block off 1 hour per month and do 4 15-minute live sessions and blast it out and show off your stuff. Good things happen. It's like when people tell me, Adam, just go on Clubhouse and good things will happen, which is true. I'm coming around on Clubhouse, Pod Pals. I'm going to be going live on Clubhouse every Monday night at 6 p.m. Eastern with Coach Melanie Benson's group and Coach Deb. So look for that on Clubhouse. I think I'm at Podcast Growth on it's either podcast or Podcasting Growth. Search my name. You can find me on Clubhouse. Anyway, good things happen when you do live coaching sessions. So that's the why. Let's talk about the how. How do we pull this off? What are some best practices? This is important. The first thing is I want you to have a process or a protocol that you can use for the session. What you don't want to do is be like, all right, so what are you struggling with? Let's dive into that. I mean, that's okay, but I want to really use expert positioning. So you want to have a process, all right? And my process is what I call a podcast audit. When I bring podcasters out of the audience into the show, we do an episode called a podcast audit. Now I've got a series of questions that they have to fill out for me before they even get on the show. I need to know specific things. What are they struggling with? What's going well? Do they have things like lead magnets? How are their downloads going? Are they monetizing? I need, how many episodes do they have? Are they, releasing consistent content? I need to know all those things. All right. So I can audit their show. Then once we get live, we're going to talk podcast growth, podcast audience engagement, and monetization. Those are the 3 areas. Those are the big pain points. And that is my next part of the how. Focus on solving 1 to 3 of their pain points that they have, but also your ideal audience members probably have. So we're going to solve 1 to 3 of those, depending on how long the session is. Mine are 30 minutes long, so I can usually tackle 2 to 3. 2 to 3 of those: audience engagement, podcast growth, podcast monetization. All right. So that's what the podcast audit process is about. Those are the pain points. So you need to think, all right, what's my process? What am I going to call it? And then you're going to say, all right, what are the top 1, 2, or 3 pain points that my ideal listener has that I can tackle with my process? All right. And remember, if you guys have questions or comments, drop them below and we'll get you taken care of. I love that engagement. All right. So the third part of the how is we're going to offer up designated time slots for these on your calendar. So it's not going to be like, hey, so a lot of people will go on their show, hey, I'm going to do these coaching sessions, and I wouldn't necessarily even call it a coaching session or a free coaching session. Like I come on the podcast audit, sign up for a podcast audit interview on my show, Podcasting Business School. So it sounds a little more leveled up, and it is. I'm over delivering with these. But I want you to have designated time slots on your calendar. Don't go on your show and go, hey, DM me if you want to do a coaching session. That's not going to work. It's not. I want you to have a schedule. It's just like you're booking an interview. One way, there's a couple of ways that we can go with scheduling. I personally have certain time blocks on Tuesdays and Wednesdays when I do podcast audits, and I'll batch them together. So I kind of get in coaching mode and I blast them out there. When I first started with my first health show, Million Pound Mission, I would set aside, I had a membership, and I would bring people out of my membership on and do hot seat sessions that were 15 minutes each. I would block off 2 hours per month on different weeks, 1 hour one week, 1 hour another week. I would do 4 in a row in each session. And that would allow me to have 8 episodes of these hot seats that I would put out every Friday. So for each month, I would have 2 months worth of episodes. So I was always ahead, which is nice and great content. So I had a rhythm and a rhyme and a reason with my scheduling. It was professional, and the audience will respond to that. So that's the third part of the how. And then the last part is record these and put them out. Like I'm going to start actually blasting mine now that I'm on StreamYard. If you guys are watching me on Facebook or YouTube, I'm on StreamYard. You can see all the cool bells and whistles that come along with that. But you got to put these out. Don't just do these. A lot of people do discovery sessions, which kind of is marketing speak for, hey, let's meet up so I can try to sell you on a thing. This is a coaching session. This is great content. I've done a few episodes of my podcast audits where people are like, all right, so how do I hire you? I'm like, no, let's back up. That's not what this is about. I'll be glad to discuss that later. But right now, coach mode. My coaching hat is on, not my sales hat. Let's produce some great content together. So keep that in mind. This isn't a sales call. This is a true coaching session. And we're going to drive all the information and the content towards that. But record them and put them out. Put these out on your show. I guarantee that you'll get great audience feedback. My podcast audit episodes, or anytime I include a podcast audit, those are always my most downloaded, most engaged with episodes, because again, I'm bringing audience members up in that seat to be coached, and it's content that resonates with my average ideal listener, which also are my average ideal avatar clients. So that's a good thing that leads down a path of monetization. So I want you to think about, what's the best fit for you of, should I be pulling people up out of my podcast listenership, or should I be pulling up paying clients, or a little bit of both? I do a little bit of both. And it's just kind of filling that hot seat and getting the great content cooking on a regular basis. And as far as releasing these, I just released one with episode 180. Again, you can check that out. That is the episode on audience engagement and podcast monetization tips, where I dive a little bit deeper into all of this. But I'll put out where I put 2 30-minute sessions together for one hour, 60-minute episode. I've also been doing a lot of my solo episodes tend to be shorter, like 15, 20, 25 minutes. So I'll put a 30-minute podcast audit on the back edge of that. People have been enjoying that, where I have a little bit of me, a little bit of a podcast audit, and I smash that together for a 1-hour solo show. And that's another way to put this type of content out there. If you are looking at releasing more than one episode per week, with my first health show, $1 Million Pound Mission, I would release either a solo episode. I would go 1 week on Monday would be solo episode. The next week would be a guest interview. And then every Friday was a hot seat session with one of my members from my paying membership. So that's another method. I don't think there's any wrong way to do this. You'll see what resonates with your listeners, see where the downloads go, see where the audience, see what their downloads are telling you as far as when they want this type of content released, how often they want it released, but just do it. Do it. My challenge to you tonight, Pod Pals, is to do 10 coaching sessions, put them out in some way, shape, or form as podcast content, or if you're a YouTuber, put it out as YouTube content, or an Instagrammer, put it out as Instagram content, and watch the magic happen. All right, Pod Pals, that's all I got for you with this video. If you have any questions, again, if you're watching this not live, leave a comment below and we will get those taken care of. Again, check out Podcasting Business School. I release new episodes every Tuesday. I just kicked off my YouTube page, so you can follow me at podcast. Just search Podcasting Business School on YouTube. Follow me there. That's where all of my interviews will now be going live into YouTube and on Facebook and in my Facebook group. So if you like to watch content, you don't have to wait for it anymore for it to come out as a podcast episode. I'll be releasing those in real time as live videos via StreamYard. If you aren't in my Facebook world, it's just Adam Shibley. That's my main page. I also have Podcasting Business School, the page, and my Facebook group is called The Podcaster Mind. So jump into any of those and you can watch some of the live video, or YouTube's going to be a hot spot for me. I'm going to really make a push with YouTube, and you can follow me. Just search Podcasting Business School on YouTube. All right, Pod Pals, I'm going to sign off wishing you health, happiness, and many downloads. I got my summer tank top on. Shout out to Jerome Myers from Dreamcatchers. Thank you for the tank top, Jerome. We'll see you guys next time.